I think this card is better than just Arena. I think this card has potential to see constructed play.
This is insane. What?
I would not sleep on this card. It may have a home in the future.
I dig it. I really, really dig it.
This card has good potential. It has good potential.
Seems unlikely I'm going to give it 1 star.
I think this card is just way too slow.
Nah, not good.
Yeah, this card is bad. Silver
It could be okay, but how do you find room for this card? And what do you cut for this?
It's kind of like the Nerubian guy that gets 1 cheaper every turn. It needs to be like 3 or 2 mana to be good. And he needs to stay in your hand for quite a bit of turns. Nah, not good.
Corridor Creeper. This one is worth considering just because anything that could be a 0 mana 5/5 or 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana 5/5, that's worth considering, but it's a really bad top deck and it's a card you don't really want to keep in your hand anyways. Seems unlikely I'm going to give it 1 star.
I don't think this card fit into Zoo, because if you have space in Zoo, there's so many good cards that you can fit in if you have the space. Silver Vanguard. So yeah, this card is bad.
Corridor Creeper. Costs 1 less whenever a minion dies while this is in your hand. This is insane. What? This is a 1. This is an easy one. Whenever a minion, meaning yours or theirs, right? So it's both. So yeah, it's an easy one. Yeah, it's any minion, not friendly minion.
Ooh. I mean, if you're playing powerful AoE, like Twisting Nether, Doom, that kind of stuff, you could get a 0 mana AoE. There's also like minions die earlier, so if you're like defiling. I'm thinking Warlock when I see this card. But it's gonna be good enough, like you need to kill a certain amount of minions. Some defile plays, you can get this down to like 3 mana after a while. It's kind of a bad top deck though, like situational, like if there's no certain board. I don't know if this is like, it could be okay, but how do you find room for this card? Like, what do you cut for this, and how do you like manage this in your 30 cards? I think there might be better options. But Warlock has the strongest AoE, so it'd be like Warlock. It doesn't necessarily require AoE, but yeah. I guess if you kill, if 3 minions die when this is in your hand, like it's already okay, but I can also imagine sitting in the hand for a long time and then still not doing enough when you actually get to play it.
I think this card is just way too slow. It is very similar to the Neruba, which was a 4/4 that got reduced in mana cost by 1 every time it was just sitting in your hand. But this one requires you to have a minion to die. Yeah, but maybe it is good enough in token decks just because, you know, you play living mana dies, like, and then this one costs 0 mana, you can reflood the board. So yeah, definitely in token decks. If we see token decks being played on the ladder, then this card seems like a crazy refill power play card afterwards. So token decks, great combo card with living mana. Yeah, we'll see play in token decks if it fits in the deck. Maybe it's not good enough just because you need to play a lot of tokens.
It's potentially kind of an interesting card for like a hunter deck. It is a beast, but a hunter deck that's like kind of swarming with stuff. It can kind of be like a thing from below-ish type card for a hunter deck, right? You know, you trade off your alley cats, you potentially like unleash the hounds, trade in a bunch of hounds, and then you get, you know, a cheap beast. I don't think this card is nearly as powerful as Thing from Below. It is also just a 5/5, so it dies to Anduin and Dragonfire Potion, so it probably doesn't have a home right now. I do think this is a card that has some upside that's worth looking into. So I would not sleep on this card. It may have a home in the future.
So it's not that it costs 1 less just by a minion dying this turn. No, just in your hand. So it has potential of becoming a 0 mana 5/5. This is a fine card. If it would say costs 1 less whenever this minion dies, like for the turn or something, it was a bad card. But this card is just to be potential of becoming a 0 mana 5/5 if you have it in your opening hand, or a 1 or a 2 or a 3 mana 5/5. So it's a fine card. If it is gonna be strong enough, well, probably it's gonna be hard. Maybe in like a deck that likes beast too, like Hunter. But this card has good potential. It has good potential.
7 mana 5/5 costs 1 less whenever a minion dies while this is in your hand. Minion meaning, of course, enemy minions as well. Playable in control deck if you're looking for a cheap 5/5 later on. I like that. We already have the new 5 mana 4/4 elemental that fits the big spell decks. That if you play the big spell, then the cost is free. So if you play this with a bunch of control tools with a 4/4 elemental. And let's assume you're playing Druid with the big Ixlid guy, whatever his name is, and a bunch of things die during the game. And then you get to play Ixlid with 0 mana 4/4, with Corridor Creeper at 0, with some other reduced card cost and another minion. Maybe you get to go wide with a stupid board, but the odds that this is going to pan out is pretty slim. But I like the concept, and I love the idea of getting cheap guys that you can use during the game. Shaman seemed like a good candidate for this because Think From Below is a good candidate to be copied by the Spellstone. This is a good candidate to be copied by the Spellstone. If you get to spawn Corridor Creeper and 3 copies of it because it costs you 0 to play, it's like, yeah, maybe 20/20 worth of stats is pretty damn good. Think From Below works similarly. You spawn totems, they die. As they die, this gets powered up. Think From Below gets powered up as they get played. You volcano the board, you wipe the board with storms, you keep yourself healed up as we've talked about earlier. This can fit. This can totally fit a control shaman build. Is it good enough to be played? I mean, we'll see when we get to try it out, but I love the idea of a card that fits control shaman, so I dig it. I really, really dig it.
This effect is not as bad as it seems. This is all minions. This is not just your minions. You can get the cost of this minion down to 0 without too much difficulty. It's a beast. If you can get the cost of this to 0, and it's a beast, it works with Tundra Rhino. There's some combo potential in Constructed for this card. It works with Evolution very well. If you play in Arena, 2-drop trades for your opponent 2-drop, 3-drop trades for 3-drop, 3 mana 5/5. I think this card is better than just Arena. I think this card has potential to see Constructed play. It just needs some support. And that concludes the Kobolds and Catacombs. Let's see where we end up. Man. What was that, like 2 hours? Jesus. No!